Let's look at dedicated high volume, low pressure or HVLP sprayers next. At the budget end, these typically have a separate mains powered electric blower unit, a turbine that creates the airflow. And the paint gun and cup are connected to it by a hose. The turbine produces a lot of air, but without much oomph. High volume, low pressure. I've had a couple of these, an Airless one from way back and a bargain basement little Amazon machine that I featured in the videos on the playlist. And there's a £60 Erbauer that's available and many others too. It's worth bearing in mind that the turbine runs constantly like a little vacuum cleaner in reverse, so air flows through the gun constantly, but it only picks up paint when you pull the trigger. That's not a big deal, but if you've masked off areas with the thin polythene dust covers, then the airflow through the gun can make them flap about onto freshly painted surfaces. Don't ask me how I know that. There's usually a small degree of control on the gun. You can change the orientation of the spray fan from upright to horizontal and a round pattern too if you adjust the nozzle at an angle. So not a huge amount. There's often a flow control dial on the gun as well, but I've got to say on the ones that I've tried, they've never made a great deal of difference. The paint cup is typically underneath the gun and it uses a tube in the cup to suck it out. So on the positive side, they can be a cheap way to get started in spraying, and the lack of adjustment means they're pretty simple to use. They're quite lightweight, so portable to an extent, and the paint is contained in the cup and gun, so they're straightforward to clean out for color or finish changes. Some of the cheaper guns also come with two cups as well, which makes it even easier to make those changeovers. On the negative side, you'll be shocked to learn that the cheaper turbines have shorter cables, and because the gun is tethered to the turbine by a relatively short hose, it means that you need to carry the turbine with you or park it somewhere handy, which could be a bit of an issue if you're up a ladder. Single-stage turbines like the ones you get on entry-level sprayers will struggle with thicker paints like emulsion paints, so they're probably best suited for smaller projects, cabinets, trim and mouldings, rather than decorating complete rooms. There doesn't seem to be any standards for fittings, certainly at the cheaper end of the market, so while it's a fairly simple plastic hose between the turbine and the gun that's probably easy to adapt, things like the paint cup won't usually be interchangeable between brands. By the way, you can get all-in-one HVLP sprayers where the turbine is part of the gun. I've seen a cheap Parkside one in the middle aisle and a more expensive Wagner one too. The main drawback with those is the weight, because you're carrying everything around with you, the turbine, the paint, everything. And of course it's physically quite a big unit, so it'll be harder to fit into smaller spaces.